I'm Cosmic Carlos, and I'm here to introduce you to psychic angels and to change your personal destiny. These are tumultuous and turbulent times. Maybe you're having trouble sleeping. Do you wake up from disturbing dreams? Are you worried about your job or your finances? Are your personal relationships in trouble? Do you feel internal turmoil or torment? Maybe feelings of anger and even despair are limiting you. Or maybe you have been overcome by low energy and you cannot achieve your full potential. Is there a deceased loved one whose guidance and counsel you crave? Do you want answers to your questions? Do you want to find and express your true cosmic self? It is time for you. Seize the moment. Call psychic angels now to speak with your personal psychic angel. Psychic angels are gifted individuals born under auspicious signs. They will interpret your dreams. You will get answers to your questions. Your personal psychic angel will find and channel your spiritual guides from cosmic dimensions. You will cleanse and strengthen your energy field and project your new powerful aura. Take control. Start on your path to your new destiny. Call for your psychic angel at the number on your screen now and have your credit card ready. Hello. Today is Thursday, July 9th, 2020. This broadcast is titled Be Prepared. That's the Boy Scout motto. I was a Boy Scout. I even made it to Eagle Scout. The Boy Scouts filed for bankruptcy in February to stave off hundreds of lawsuits alleging child abuse. I can't believe that the organization did not know about rampant abuse. By not dealing with it immediately and forcefully, a valuable organization degraded itself and faces extinction. But the motto still stands. Events are swirling around us that we cannot control. Uncertainty is the key word. The best you can do is look ahead and prepare yourself for potential problems. We truly live in uncertain times. As I see it, we in the United States face 5 key problem areas. The resurgent coronavirus, first and foremost, the resultant declining economy, structural racism, climate change, and international threats. All these are at or near crisis level, and we need to address them as a nation. Whether or not we are up to the task adds even more uncertainty. But all this is just too much to cover in one broadcast. You are probably tired of hearing about it, but coronavirus is surging in parts of the U.S. Like it or not, we have to face it. So as I will start with the coronavirus and potential further economic disruptions. Call this part 1 of Be Prepared. Coronavirus infection rates are rising rapidly in most states, while on the decline in a few others. The U.S. is leading the world in confirmed cases and deaths. The Johns Hopkins coronavirus dashboard shows that on July 6th, we had 2,897,613 confirmed cases and 130,007 deaths. We're well ahead of second place Brazil with about 1.6 million confirmed cases and close to 65,000 deaths. From May 26th to June 23rd, the number of new cases per day in the U.S. more than doubled from 16,429 to 34,313, according to the CDC. We're now hovering near 50,000 new cases per day. I have seen estimates that 180,000 to 200,000 people will die from COVID in the U.S. by October. The CDC estimates that the true number of infections could be 10 times what has been reported. But Americans apparently are not prepared to endure much more in the way of restrictions. In Michigan, at the end of April, armed protesters gathered at the state capitol to demand an end to the coronavirus lockdowns. Wearing masks to prevent the spread of the virus has become politicized, and Republicans in particular see masks as some kind of affront to freedom. Something else is really alarming. Public health officials at the county and city level are quitting in the face of death threats and pushback. A June 22nd, 2020 Washington Post article stated, quote, Public health workers are confronting waves of protest at their homes and offices, in addition to pressure from politicians who favor a faster reopening, end quote. The Post goes on to say, Lori Tremmel Freeman, chief executive of the National Association of County and City Health Officials, said more than 20 health officials have resigned, retired, or been fired in recent weeks due to conditions related to having to enforce and stand up for strong public health tactics during this pandemic, end of quote. These are the very people with the knowledge and the experience to get us through this. We need them. Now, it's pretty simple. Once physical distancing restrictions are relaxed, people will congregate and the coronavirus spread will resume. Without measures to track and control the spread, we will be back pretty much where we started. R0 is a key measure of how fast the virus is spreading. And if R0 exceeds 1, the virus is spreading. If it's less than 1, the virus stops spreading. Overall, for the country, the July 6th estimate shows R0 above 1. And the website RT Live provides daily estimates of R0. And values on July 6th range from a low of 0.75 for Connecticut to a high of 1.38 for Nevada. The nature of the process means that estimates vary from day to day. From looking at the curve for each state, though, it appears that just about every state has incurred resurgence in the infection rate since mid-May. Dr. Anthony Fauci said during the latest coronavirus task force briefing on Friday, June 26, quote, "If we don't extinguish the outbreak sooner or later, even ones that are doing well, meaning states, are going to be vulnerable to the spread." End quote. He further warned, quote again, "So we need to take that into account because we're all in it together. And the only way we're going to end it is by ending it together." End quote. On Tuesday, in a Senate hearing, Dr. Fauci stated we're having now 40,000+ new cases a day. And he said, "I would not be surprised if we go up to 100,000 a day if this does not turn around. And so I am very concerned." End quote. By the way, 100,000 cases a day is not a ceiling. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, a former FDA commissioner, said in an interview on CNBC Squawk Box that the doubling time is about 30 days now, and that he estimates that about 7% of the population has had the coronavirus at this point. He also expects that about half the population will have contracted the disease by the end of the year, given the present rates of infection. I did a little calculation. Assuming nothing changes, that the number of cases doubles every 30 days, and that you start with 2.8 million cases. And if the total does double every 30 days, that means we will have close to 180 million cases by the beginning of 2021. That makes it appear that basically we could bungle our way to some kind of herd immunity. We are not together. There is no plan, no cohesive effort at the federal level. Wearing a mask in public, which the evidence shows to be effective in slowing the spread, has been politicized. There is no federal depository of accurate data. State and even county statistics are inconsistent. States don't seem to be sharing data. And it's tough to fix what you can't measure. The virus doesn't recognize geographic boundaries. Wherever you are, be prepared to live with the coronavirus for a while. And I don't hold out hope that the economy will come back to pre-pandemic levels for some time either. The U.S. economy, along with economies all over the globe, was deliberately curtailed to fight the coronavirus. In the U.S., close to 40 million people filed initial unemployment claims in April and May. And there was good news in June and July on unemployment, but there's a very good chance that gains in employment resulted from premature reopening. And overall, unemployment numbers are still quite ugly from a historical perspective. Millions of Americans are peering over a financial precipice. I hope you have lots of money invested in the stock market. The stock market has had its best quarter, or had its best quarter in the second quarter of this year since 1998. It has continued higher since then. Maybe investors see something that I'm missing. I hope so. A great deal of economic damage has already been done. We have seen major bankruptcies. J.C. Penney, Neiman Marcus, Hertz, Borden Dairy, J. Crew, and Chesapeake Energy comprise some of the more prominent ones. Even Cirque du Soleil is being forced to fold up its tents. Many small businesses that ceased operating because of the coronavirus will not survive. The economic relief measures put in place by Congress greatly mitigated the damage from record unemployment, but they will expire at the end of July. Unless these are extended, be prepared for more permanent job losses, mortgage defaults, evictions, and business failures. Ultimately, there really is no trade-off between fighting the pandemic and keeping the economy going. Mary Daly, president of the San Francisco Federal Reserve, said, and I quote, "The virus determines the speed at which the economy is allowed to recover," end quote. Neil Kashkari, president of the Minneapolis Federal Reserve, said, "Ultimately, we have to solve the virus if we are going to solve the economy," end quote. Both stressed the uncertainty we are facing. And there's more bad news. The coronavirus is a worldwide phenomenon, and the IMF forecasts that the global economy will shrink by almost 5%. That's huge. The European Union expects the 27-nation economy to decline 8.3%. State government revenue has declined precipitously, and state budgets for the fiscal year beginning July 1 are seeing huge cuts. For example, Maryland state forecasters, per the Washington Post, say that as much as $1.2 billion of state revenue could evaporate amid the economic crisis triggered by the pandemic. To mitigate that, Governor Hogan outlined $1.45 billion worth of cuts to Maryland's $19.5 billion general fund, which is part of the overall $47.9 billion budget that takes effect Wednesday. The newspaper report goes on to say, "These are tough times and tough decisions need to be made," said Hogan. No, said his spokesman, Michael Ricci, adding that the state government could be forced to lay off 25% of its workforce to close the budget gap. In addition, cuts to education and infrastructure projects along with tax increases are very possible. This same scenario is now playing out in most other states. It's tough to be optimistic in the face of the resurgent coronavirus. We all want life to go back to what it was before the coronavirus struck, but nobody really knows what will happen. Much of what happens depends upon what we do individually and collectively, whether we can come together as a country or not. That is going to be tough. Part of being prepared is mental. Be ready to face continued difficult times and to do the little things that you can do to make the situation better. The least you can do is go out and stock up on toilet paper. Don't get caught short the next time around.